Welcome back to another episode of Dragons in America. Are you the Dracons, dragons found in the Americas? Let me know what you think. Leave a note in the comments. I'm going to do this video a little differently than I usually do, especially for this episode. Episode 26, The Most High Don't Miss. Now, I like to have the music because it kind of creates its own gives it some background noise. I'm not just talking, and it gives us a little vibe to something to vibe to. But I'm gonna try it out. Let me know what y'all think. Leave a note in the comments. So these were some of the comments I got from that video posted about 9 months ago. Episode number 26, The Most High Don't Miss. And basically the audio just wasn't on point. A lot of people couldn't hear it. Music was too loud. I'm trying to figure it out. It is what it is, but I appreciate everybody for tapping in and supporting the channel and give me your feedback, because at the end of the day, when I say leave a note in the comments, I really hope y'all leave a note in the comments. Let me know how I can make it a better experience for everybody. But just taking it one day at a time. This is fun for me. Let me know what y'all think about this style of video, man. You're now tapped in with Dragon Canoe. We are steadily rowing and we are constantly flowing. So this is just like pure commentary. I want to read. Let me know what y'all think, man. Simple as that. We just following the drinking gourd, like I said. None more, none less. It's right in your face. Follow the drinking gourd. You got the constellation Draco right here between the Big and the Little Dipper. We're just talking dragons in America. Same here, Northern Lights. Image of a dragon in the clouds. Now, Shame or Shamayim, from an unused meaning to be lofty, the sky, alluding to the visible arch in which the clouds move, as well as to the higher ether, where the celestial bodies revolve. Shamayim, meaning heaven, to be lofty, the arch in which the clouds move, as well as to the higher ether, meaning the ether is constantly in motion. It is almost certainly no coincidence that this same dichotomy between positive and negative is to be found in the Old Testament, where on one hand they can denote divine power and on the other mortal danger. We're just talking dragons or tanin. Dragons, tanin, tana, are frequently invoked by the prophets or in the Psalms when the Hebrews are either oppressed by their enemies or have strayed from the path of righteousness. For example, the wine of sinners of Sodom and Gomorrah is the poison of dragons. We learn that in Deuteronomy. And part of Hawa's punishment of the unrighteous at the second coming will be an habitation of dragons. We get that from the prophet Isaiah, as well as the prophet Micah at the downfall of Samaria and Jerusalem. Tanim, from the same as 8565. And again, I got a hold of Strong's, what is it called? It's Strong's Complete Dictionary of Bible Words. So we're going to continue to dig into that. Basically, Tanim meaning dragons or sea monster. Jackal. Because again, invoked by the prophets when the people are either oppressed by their enemies or have strayed from the path of righteousness. We're talking prophets. Malak, to ascend the throne, meaning to reign, to take counsel, consult, to be made to be set up as king, or to be made queen, to reign or rule. We're talking Malak. And correct me if I'm not pronouncing it right, but Malak, meaning to ascend the throne. So this book is basically it was an encyclopedia that I found at like a thrift store, and I just dug into it, man. So basically, it's saying, also elaborated in beautiful poetry, the hope of the coming messianic king from Isaiah, meaning who should bring in a period of universal peace, safety, and welfare under the divine blessing, saying the Messiah was to be a descendant of Khan Dawi, aka King David. Other prophets were Micah, who predicted the downfall of Samaria and Jerusalem, who lived in western Judah, and Micah proclaimed the impending doom of Samaria and Jerusalem. And another prophet, Nahum, who saw his prediction come true at the fall of the Assyrian capital of Nineveh, which was destroyed by the Babylonians. So I really zoomed in on this one. It's a bit blurry, but according to Hebrew law and history, there has always been more than one. They came at different periods of time. We're talking staying in check, searching for the Melchizedek. And these Israelites were under captivity, slavery, or oppression. Again, like the Tanim invoked by the prophets. The Creator would send a Messiah or Savior when the people cried unto Him and repented of their wrongdoings. Many of the noblest writings in the Old Testament date from this period. First importance was the great historical document J, which traces the history of Israel from the call of Abraham to the conquest of Canaan. We're talking lost tribes and promised lands, the seed of Abraham. There is no real parallel to this situation in any other literature. We're talking Torah. There is no real parallel in any other literature that is so well documented as that of ancient Israel. This is especially fortunate insofar as the Old Testament enshrines many of the highest and noblest religious teachings and ideals mankind has ever known. We're talking the documentation of ancient Israel, enshrining many of the highest and noblest teachings and ideals mankind has ever known. We're talking Torah. The New Testament differs from the Old. Again, simple as that. The dominant prophetic figure in this period was that of the prophet Isaiah of Jerusalem, whose oracles are found in the first part of the present book of Isaiah. He was a great patriot. A great patriot. Isaiah, the prophet, whose oracles are found in the first part of the book of Isaiah. And he relied wholly upon divine intervention for the safety of Israel. Relied wholly upon divine intervention for the safety of Israel. All he needed was the Most High. A prophet fully as great as Isaiah appeared shortly before the fall of Jerusalem. He was Jeremiah of Anathoth. We're talking the prophet Jeremiah of Anathoth. His confessions describe his call in the divine message in which he had been entrusted. Again, we're talking to be made king or queen, Malak. Those who have been entrusted as in the sublime prophecy of the new covenant. We're talking the prophets and the Americans. So here's where we get into it. We connecting the dots here, staying in check, searching for the Melchizedek. A native of America originally applied to the Aboriginals or copper-colored races found here. Copper-colored races found here in America. Again, let me know what you think. Leave a note in the comments. This is from a book. I can't remember exactly which one this one is, but basically it's a picture of the Shawnee delegation to go visit some general in 1814, 2 years after Tecumseh goes down. They saying that Tecumseh's sister, Tecumseh, is believed to be the second woman from the left. So let me know what you think. In a striking and to me somewhat mysterious manner, those Aboriginal or tribal people, whom we have chosen rather misleadingly to call Indians, have emerged in the last 2 decades from the obscurity in which they fell at the end of the Indian Wars. I believe this book is called Blood Moon, something to do with the Cherokee. That's where I got this one from, into which they fell at the end of the Indian Wars to become once more a major preoccupation of white Americans, they say. Their champions have claimed a new name for them, Native Americans, on the grounds that they were here long before the white man invaded their continent. The white invaders are now often called Euro-Americans, presumably to emphasize that we, as in the author, not me, but he, they, were the intruders and conquerors of the original real Americans. Seen in this light, the latecomers appear as false claimants again. From that definition of American, the original Aborigines, copper-colored races found here, now applied to Euro-Americans, aka bogus Americans, they say. Saying, finally, the strange tragic story of the encounter of white Europeans with darker-skinned Aborigines, again copper-colored races found here. This encounter is offered as irrefutable evidence of our national depravity. It seems to me that the most sensible way to address the issue of Euro-Americans versus Native Americans is to eschew polemics and tell the story as simply and directly as possible. Again, we're just connecting the dots here. This, wraps in that whole James Adair argument. James Adair, a swarthy Irish trapper, swarthy, from the Old English meaning black. So again, we talk Euro-Americans, it don't always mean white people. There were so-called black Europeans as well. From what seems to be saying a swarthy Irish trapper, meaning black, James Adair. You let me know what you think. Leave a note in the comments. Among the first Europeans to come upon the Cherokee, he married one, a widowed full-blood of the Deer Clan, called Mrs. Gohaga Foster. He was married and lived with her for 40 years. So we talk ethnography, meaning a portrait of a people, a written description of a particular culture. We're talking Torah, based on information collected through field work, is what it means to be an ethnographer. From James Adair, I think we're still in that Blood Moon book. It is a remarkably clear-eyed piece of ethnography, with one howling peculiarity. Adair devoting the entire book to his argument that the American Indians were a lost tribe of Israel. A kink, Thomas Jefferson called this. So basically James Adair is breaking it down, saying this is why he believes the American Indians to be a lost tribe of Israel. And it has to do with the ethnography, the portrait of the people, and information he collected about the customs, beliefs, and behaviors of this people. Thomas Jefferson, on the other hand, said that basically James Adair he found this topic interesting, so he called it a kink, end quote. Thomas Jefferson called this. Tribes became known among nearby peoples as Hebrew, so now we're back to the encyclopedia. Later, some of them called themselves Israelites after an eponymous ancestor. Many of the Hebrews' folk traditions concerned the patriarchs in the Exodus and were circulated orally for generations before being written down by the scribes. So imagine this being generated orally for years before even being written down. So really what we're getting is traditions, some would say folk tales, but some of which is documented. But like when I say we just follow in the drinking gourd, it kind of makes you think, The encounter between the English colonists and the American Aborigines, to whom the English gave the general name of Indians because of the darkness of their skin. Again, we're talking Americans or copper-colored races found here. Saying this was one of the most dramatic meetings between different cultures in all of history. The Indians were divided into innumerable tribes that spoke some 500 different tongues and dialects. Again, this was one of the facts of the Native Americans that led to the speculation of the colonists that the Indians might be the lost tribes of Israel. One of the facts, they say, leading to the speculation of the colonists. So imagine the colonists come over here. They're seeing these people that are the Indians, so-called Indians, and they're like, man, there's something about them. And they basically speculated that the Indians might be the lost tribes of Israel, but now cursed by their power and condemned to be divided. The main principle which determined the choice of all three collections of the Old Testament was that of providing a basis for the teaching and guidance of the new religious community which had been established since the exile. It was hoped that by obeying the will of the Most High above, as revealed in the sacred books, the type of destruction that had once overtaken the former northern and southern kingdoms thenceforth would be avoided. So again, we're talking laws and commandments. By obeying the will of your power as revealed in the sacred books, that type of destruction thenceforth would be avoided. Dragons or Tanin being invoked by the prophets. So we're talking blood moon is a rare form of lunar eclipse. A blood moon was especially terrifying since the moon did not disappear but just turned blood red. The Cherokee considered the sight an ill portent. The moon was red with rage over what lay below, right? So this is from, it's called Shawnee. Also found this book at a thrift store. Just dug into it. The Shawnee basically is saying that the sun, moon, stars, and earth are all considered to be deities, saying them to be a man and woman of immense power and size. I cannot make this up. A man and woman of immense power and size. We're talking your mother and father above. And that they were given to the Shawanoas when the Great Spirit created all things, and that when the Shawanoas cease to exist, the sun and moon will cease to be. Imagine how important that must be, these so-called Shawanoas, that the world will have to end. Saying they believe eclipses to be precursors of war, or what's called Makate Witi Kasato, or black sun eclipses. Like the sun and moon, the stars are supposed to be animate beings. Again, we're talking dragon kings and queens, servants of the Shamayims, supposed to be animate beings, and it is believed that the meteors, called shooting stars, are beings fleeing from the wrath of some adversary or from some anticipated danger. So again, the Cherokee were a people largely without history, that grand pageant of progress and disaster, possessing mostly legends about what had come before. So again, we're talking oral traditions, folk tales, so-called legends. So again, how can you follow your history when it's either been destroyed or misinterpreted to you? But again, we're just following the drinking gourd. Simple as that. We know that. Pathkiller's eyes must have widened when he learned that all the land of the Cherokee was a vast flat square that hung down from the vault of the sky on 4 long chains. So this is pretty much just supporting evidence on the so-called flat earth theory, and the Cherokees say the same thing, a vast flat square that hung down from the vault of the sky. Or in some videos saying that it's more like a contact lens, flat on the bottom with the vault, or what we know to be, you know what I'm trying to say, the vault of the sky, man. We'll get back to it. It'll come to me. The Torah, comprising the first group of Hebrew books to be singled out and set apart as inspired, is therefore absolutely authoritative. It consists of Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, and embraces the earlier historical narratives and law codes of Israel and Judah. We're talking Torah. Genesis contains the story of the creation of the early history of mankind, or the call of Abraham, and of the journey of Jacob's son to Egypt at the time of famine, or Exodus. the story of the deliverance of the Israelites, the descendants of Jacob's sons, from under Egypt, and the leadership of Moshe and the giving of the Ten Commandments on Mount Sinai. We're talking Genesis, we're talking early history of mankind, all this told through the Torah, the life and call of Abraham, the journey of Jacob's sons, Exodus, the descendants of Jacob's sons, and Moshe and the giving of the Ten Commandments on Mount Sinai. So we're talking the period that belongs to the vivid life of Khan Dawid, otherwise known as King David, and a cycle of stories scattered through 1 and 2 Samuel and 1 Kings, and perhaps also the early narratives of the beginnings of human history found in the first half of Genesis, written down by authors familiar with their traditional lore. Talking Psalm 24, 7 through 10 may also come from this period. It is the oldest of the Hebrew Psalms, the blessing of Jacob. Again, I can't make this up. We're just connecting the dots here. O gates, lift up your heads, lift them up, your everlasting doors, so the King of glory may come in. So connect that with the Shawnee. Having told them how to proceed, left them to their will. The Great Spirit then told the man and woman that they should live, increase, and multiply in that manner. And he made them, and thereafter they must make themselves. He then opened the door of the skies, and the Indians looking down saw this island. By this time there were 12 Indians. So again, we're connecting the dots. Open your everlasting doors. He then opened the doors of the skies. We're talking Shamayim, the doors of the skies. By this time there were 12 Indians. We're talking 12 Indians. Connect the dots here. The Shawnees say that they have a tradition that their ancestors crossed the sea. Until lately they kept a yearly sacrifice for their safe arrival in this country from whence they came, or at what period they arrived in America. They do not know, so they crossed the sea, much like Exodus crossed the sea from whence they came. They say they may not know, but what we can do is connect the dots here and say that a lot of their history may be lost. He told them they must come down to live upon this island, that it would take them 12 days. So again, reoccurring theme of 12. That he would finish everything to be created upon the earth, and that he had taken his time to make them. He must also proceed gradually in forming all things below. And that the Creator or Great Spirit would give them a piece of his heart, which was good, and would mix it with the hearts which they had, so that a part of their hearts at least should be good. Now, said the Great Spirit, I can hear and will give you ears. I can speak and I will give you tongues. I will also give you of my teeth to chew your food. So, again, we're just staying in check, searching for the Melchizedek. And now I have finished you in all things. Remember that you should never attribute the formation to any but me. So what's the connection between the Shawnees and the Hebrews? I, Huwa, am your power, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, the house of bondage, saying that they crossed the sea, in connection with attributing no formation to any but me, saith the Most High. You shall have no other gods with a little g. You shall have no other powers besides me, saith the Most High. And I shall not always be with you. You will require assistance. I therefore give you the sun to take care of you, and the moon for the same purpose. I will also put some of my gray hairs upon one of you, and he shall be an old man, and you shall call him your grandfather. End quote. You shall call him your grandfather, and I will put my gray hairs upon him, Again, we're talking prophets, we're talking Moshe. For said to Moshe, thus shall you say to the Israelites, you yourselves saw that I spoke to you from the very heavens. And whereupon the Great Spirit, he made a heart for the old man. Then he told the Indians that the old man, being the first which he had formed, should be called Quikula, and that he would make another who should be called Maquikula, that Quikula should be the head of the nation, and Maquikula, the next in power. Again, I can't make this up. Let me know what you think. Leave a note in the comments. Then Moshe called Joshua and said to him in the sight of all Israel, be strong and resolute, for it is you who shall go with this people into the land that Yahweh swore to their fathers to give them, and it is you who shall apportion it to them. So Moshe calls to Joshua, for it is you who shall go with this people, and should be called Quikula, that he will make another who should be called Maquikula, that Quikula should be the head, and Maquikula the next in power. Come on, man. Simple as that. It's simple math. Connect the dots. The old man then took from his pack a gourd. We're following the drinking gourd. And they began to sing. Again, I can't make this up. They sung for a period of 12 days. And the Great Spirit had promised to grant them all that they desired, and prayed to him to remove the water which impeded their journey. Come on. Man, come on. And to remove the water which impeded them. We're not talking in Torah. We're talking Shawnees. It's right here in your face. Soon after the water was dried up and they saw nothing but sand. The old man observed that he was too old to lead the party. He would give his pack to one of the others, and he appointed Shalakatha to be the leader and bearer of the pack, and told him that Quikula would remain behind. So, again, what's the connection between Moshe, Joshua, Shalakatha, Quikula, and Maquikula? Let me know what you think. So he seated himself on that which was the shore, and the young leader went forward with the band, which by this time had become quite numerous. And they sang for another period of 12 days. They then sent the waiting servant of Quikula, who had remained behind, to find out what course they had come. But he returned, telling them that the waters had returned to their place, and he could see nothing else. Again, let's go. What else? What more do you need? We're talking Quikula and Maquikula, removing of the waters. We're talking Exodus, Moshe, and Joshua. We're talking the prophets, the dragons, the Tanin. Let me know what you think, man. Episode number 26. The Most High don't miss. All praise to the Most High. Allahuah. Leave a note in the comments. We out of here for this one. 26.